Back in 2015, when every film seemed to be a superhero film, they brought back the Fantastic Four. They really shouldn't have.
Worst movie ever!
It's well documented that the Fantastic Four film from 2015 was not only a disaster on screen, but off screen, with rumours of reshoots without the director. Even just last year, the director of the film, Josh Trank, posted a review of the film online where he slated the film himself, even though he's technically the one that made the film, or is at least credited with making the film. And I'll read out some of the lines that he posted online on Letterboxd. So he starts off by saying, "Great cast, everyone in the film is a great actor, and overall, there is a movie in there somewhere, and that cast deserves to be in that movie." Everyone who worked on Fantastic Four clearly wanted to be making that movie, but ultimately it wasn't. Did I make that movie that they deserve to be in? To be honest, I can't tell. What I can tell is there's two different films in one movie competing to be that movie. Is there a hashtag release the Trank cut? Doesn't matter. I'm not Zack Snyder. So Trank, without saying the actual words, is basically showing us that it was kind of taken out of his hands. He had one idea, the studio decided to go with another idea, and that's very clear when you watch this film. Immediately from the graphics that they put out for the film, there's already problems. Because look at this graphic for the film. The title of that film is not The Fantastic Four. That reads Fant-4-Stic. For the rest of the video, I'm going to refer to the film as Fant-4-Stic, just so you don't get confused with Jessica Alba's Fantastic Four, which was also bad, but not as bad. This film has so many problems through. Apparently Trank wanted to make a completely different film, a darker film, a much darker film, almost bordering on horror film stuff, and you can kind of see that when the Fantastic Four have their powers well over an hour into the film, and they're strapped to tables and they're being experimented on, and Reed is on the table and he's all stretched out and it looks like something from a horror film. You can see he was going for something different, something unique, and it was completely taken out of his hands. On the other side, you've got what the studio wanted, which clearly they wanted to make another Avengers film, because in this film, whether it was intentional or not, they end up having a B-rate Nick Fury, a B-rate Agent Coulson, and then a B-rate superhero theme. So that's just some of the downfalls of the film. Getting into the film itself, when you look at the film from afar, if you haven't watched this film, you look at the film, you go, pretty good cast. Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller, and Kate Mara in there, three fantastic actors. Even the basic story that comes along, it's very similar to Avengers Assemble in elements that there's a superhero team, they all act as individuals, they don't want to act as a team, and ultimately they realise towards the end that they'll only be able to do it if they work together and assemble, as if they're some sort of Avengers. Generic shit. Let's jump into the film. Run quickly through the story because it won't take too long. Parts at the beginning where I'm like, okay, maybe this film's not going to be that bad, and then the film just kept going and kept going and it kept getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where at the end I was wondering how long the film had been, because it felt like it had been 4 hours long. Going through the first part of the film, basically it's established that Reed is really smart and he's got this friend who's like the tough guy, and they end up working together. Reed mostly doing the work. They come up with a science project for a science fair, which is a teleporter. At the science fair, it's disqualified. Along comes Dr. Storm and Kate Mara, and they basically give him a job. That took a couple of seconds to say, took about 20 minutes in the film. So Reed goes off to this college and Ben goes with him, and when Ben goes with him, he's kind of just dropping him off, helping him move, but it's clearly stated right there that Ben is 40 minutes away.
I'm not going away. I'm like a 40-minute train ride from Oyster Bay.
Reed, look at this place.
This is an important fact for later on. So then we have this weird scene with Reed and Kate Mara in a library. The whole point of the scene, I think, was just to establish that her thing is she reads patterns, because that's what she says in the scene. That's her favorite thing, is to find patterns in things that other people don't see patterns in. And that comes up later in the film. So Reed is brought in to basically make a bigger version of his teleporter, because Dr. Storm hasn't figured out how to get things back from the other dimension. Reed doesn't know he's been sending stuff to the other dimension. He just thinks he's been sending stuff to China for some reason. I don't know where he got China from. They never established that. Just in the science scene, he says this plane has been in this desert in China. Where he gets that from, they didn't explain. He just randomly said it. So it's established he's been sending stuff to this other dimension. Now they're going to make a machine. They slowly introduce the other characters. Vincent Von Doom, Michael B. Jordan's character, Miles Teller, Kate Mara. They're the main four at the moment. Of course, Ben is in the background, but you don't see him. Around the 25-minute mark, after a lot of messing around, they decide to go into a full machine-making montage, as some terrible films do, just to fill in time. Just before this goes on, knockoff Agent Coulson comes in. He's established as the boss guy, and you've got knockoff Nick Fury, and the two of those are arguing about funding or something like that. And then the long and short of it is, when the machine is actually made and they run a test on it, they send a monkey into the new dimension and he comes back successfully, and knockoff Agent Coulson is very happy and he says they're going to hand it off to NASA. Of course, now the scientists, and Miles Teller, who's like only 5 minutes in the door of this new building, and he's made the whole machine. Miles Teller's character and all the other actors are really angry that he's going to hand this off to NASA, even though if this was a real thing, they probably would just hand it off to someone like NASA to get trained astronauts and people who are trained to go to other worlds to take it over, rather than just sending the people who made it. Why they got pissed off doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now all the actors are kind of pissed off. Vincent Van Doom has a flask, so the next thing we see is Vincent Van Doom, Miles Teller's character, and Michael B. Jordan's character all sitting around, and they're very drunk for about 5 seconds. So after a couple of seconds of them being drunk, laughing stupidly over stupid things, and then Vincent Van Doom stands up and does like a mini speech, and all of a sudden they're not drunk because they all get up and like they're making plans, and they decide that they're going to be the ones to go into the teleporter while they're drunk. But there's only the three of them. Kate Mara's not in the room, so they need a fourth person. So of course Reed rings up Ben. Then they just cut to Ben arriving. But earlier, when Ben helped them move, they said that Ben was 40 minutes away. But when he comes back in, Reed is already still drunk. Even though Vince Van Doom had a flask like that big, how'd they all get that drunk for multiple hours? All of a sudden, they're not so drunk, and they get into basically spacesuits, and before them going to the machine. Then all of a sudden, we see Kate Mara. She's awake in the middle of the night, and an alarm goes off to tell her that the machine's about to fire. So she runs out to see what's happening, and then she sees on the computers that the four guys are going off, and she doesn't get there in time to stop them. So the four guys head off to the other dimension, and then when they're at the other dimension, they mess around a bit and they stab flags into place, and they see this green energy pool, and they go over, and Vince Van Doom puts his hand in it, and then things start going wrong. So they're all trying to run away and try to escape. Vince Van Doom is climbing the cliff, and of course he gets knocked off the cliff, and the others have to leave without him. When they're going to leave without him, one of the doors won't close. I think it's Ben's pod won't close, and he gets hit with this green slime as well. But the guys get away. Vince Van Doom's left behind. I wonder what villain he's going to turn into. So when the other guys come back in the machine, obviously everything's going wrong. It sends out an EMP, and the first person to get hit by that is Kate Mara. It sends her back, knocks her against the wall, knocks her out. And then we see the power across the whole city goes out. Then you see Miles Teller is struggling to get up, and he kind of just collapses. And all of a sudden we cut to Area 57. So in Area 57, this is where we see Reed stretched out on the table. As I said earlier, it kind of looks like something out of a horror film. This is where you can see where Trank was kind of going with it, the more darker direction, because it is kind of like a freaky scene. Then they show that each individual member of the Fantastic Four is in a different room. Kind of looks like they're all being experimented on. At this point in the film, when they come back from the other dimension and they're all in Area 57, there's only 45 minutes left in the film, and they've barely yet scratched the surface. They haven't used their powers, they haven't learned how to use their powers, they haven't established who the main bad guy is at this point. Over an hour into the film, and there's very little established. Then you see Reed's on the table, and he's in horrible pain for some reason, and he hears Ben's voice. So he uses his powers to escape. He stretches his body back to normal size. Then he goes into the vents, and you see he's stretching along the vents. And then he gets to where Ben is, and we see Ben as the Thing for the first time. And again, it's kind of like a horror approach on it, because they make him out to be an actual monster.
Ben? Ben? Reed?
Oh my God.
Ben? Reed, what happened to me?
Then the alarms go off, they realise Reed's escaped. Reed just leaves. He leaves the others behind. Next thing we see is knockoff Agent Coulson come into the Thing a few hours later or a few days later. He says to the Thing that if he helps them, they'll get a cure for him. And rather than doing any establishing of like showing the Fantastic Four members who are left behind, figuring out their powers, learning about their powers and training even, they just cut to a year later. Cut to a year later and everyone will assume they learned all their powers. So we've skipped a lot of the story and we've cut to a year later. So a year later, we've everyone's favourite part of any film, where one of the bad guys is doing a PowerPoint presentation for a conference table of army people. So Agent Coulson is telling all these army people that his plan is to make a Quantum Gate 2 so they can harness the power of the other dimension for their army. He also then shows them clips of the Fantastic Four, especially the Thing who's like tearing apart tanks, being a big weapon out in the field for them. And he's showing them that they also have the Human Torch, and they've also got Kate Mara's character. So it's fully established now that Reed abandoned them and he hasn't been back for a year. He just escaped. They later show that he's able to morph his face, and so that's how he's been able to hide. We also see that Franklin, or knockoff Nick Fury, he still is helping knockoff Agent Coulson. He still helped them make the Quantum Gate 2 because he believes it's the only way he can find a cure for the powers. The only way he can help his son, who is the Human Torch. Then we jump forward to about an hour and 2 minutes into the film. This is when Sue is helping to find Reed, and one of the army personnel who's at the computer says to her that they've only seen glimpses of Reed online, because he's like hiding himself. She tells Sue that they caught him on a few sites buying scrap metal and parts. If that's the case, why didn't they just track the deliveries to find out where he is? But they're going to use Sue because, as they established earlier in that scene, as I mentioned earlier, that was weird in the library, that was only set up to establish that she finds patterns that other people can't see. This is what she's doing. She's finding patterns that other people can't see. From around 50 minutes in this film, up until about 50 minutes, the film ticks along okay. Nothing exciting is happening, not a whole lot is established. The film ticks along at an okay pace. From between 50 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes, that's only a 20-minute spell in between. That 20 minutes feels like an eternity because so little is happening and it just seems very badly paced. The film as a whole is a disaster. Many people know that. If you haven't seen it already, why are you watching me talking about it? Well, you're probably better off watching me talk about it than watching it because it's not worth watching. So the long and short of it is we find out that Reed is in Panama. And he's in Panama and he's making his own quantum gate. Or at least that's what he's buying parts for. So Sue finds Reed and they send the thing to go get him. And they go get him very easily, very little fight put up, and they just bring him back. So Reed comes back, he sees the quantum gate 2, and his only criticism is that it looks crap, which I guess they thought was funny. So then they explain to Reed the problems they've had, and Reed fixes the machine in 5 minutes. So they've had all these problems for months, but Reed fixed them in 5 minutes. And okay, he's supposed to be like the super genius of the group, but kind of stretching it a bit. See what I did there? So now they send test pilots through for the test on the Quantum Gate 2. So when they're there, they find a heat signature, and they find someone walking towards them, and it's Vincent Van Doom. The test pilots bring them back. Knock off Adrian Coulson, goes to talk to Vincent Van Doom, and Doom kills him. Then Doom escapes and he's going through the lab, killing as he goes. All the alarms are going off and the lights are flashing and it's hard to watch. Then they show the members of Fantastic Four meeting up in the halls. So you think, okay, here we come. Here comes the big fight scene. No, not yet. The Dr. Doom is about to go back into the machine to go back to his own world. And Franklin stops. Long and short of it, Dr. Doom kills Franklin. This is where Michael B. Jordan's character sees this. He hasn't been nice with that all the way through the film, and now he realizes, oh crap, my dad's about to die, so he's trying to be nice to him. So now Reed is the only one who tries to stop Dr. Doom, but he fails and Doom gets away, goes to his own planet using the Quantum Gate 2. And he doesn't send the Quantum Gate 2 back. Then Franklin, as he's dying, tells the other Fantastic Four members to look after each other. I entirely figure getting killed or hurt is the thing that bonds the superheroes. Pretty sure I've seen that in a superhero film before. Then it's just a mess at this point, and they say that Doom is trying to create a black hole that's going to swallow the Earth using the Quantum Gate 2. They show that trees and cars and everything are getting pulled into this quantum black hole, and the Fantastic Four go through the big quasar thing that's in the air, and that brings them to the other dimension. There's about 10 minutes in the film at this stage, by the way. So all this build up just to get to this other dimension for this fight scene with Dr. Doom. It's taken like an hour and a half just to get to this point. So one by one, the Fantastic Four members attack Dr. Doom, and ultimately, of course, they fail. Then we get the all is lost moment, where all the characters are down. It looks like it's the end. Dr. Doom can't be beaten. What are they going to do? But Reed stands up. Music kicks in. He then somehow throws Doom off a mini cliff. He gives a speech to the other Fantastic Four members where he explains to them that he's stronger than all of us. Then Dr. Doom comes back, and in the Fantastic Four, amazingly, they all work together. And working together, they win. Good job. They beat Dr. Doom together, and then they go home. They see that Area 57 is destroyed. So they're negotiating with some army guys at a table, and then the army guys said they're going to give them a new building. And then they have this awful scene to end the movie.
Come a long way since the garage.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
Say that again?
It's fantastic.
Yes, it is. Guys, I got it. Ready?
Yeah, Fantastic Four, though. Clearly trying to set up the next film. Clearly 20th Century Fox at this point thought we have the next Avengers, but it was a complete disaster on so many levels. Even the director of the film didn't like it. It's long, it's boring, it's very, very slow, and ultimately is a contender for one of the worst superhero films ever, and for one of the worst movies ever. The interesting thing is that a few years ago, as everybody knows, Marvel bought 20th Century Fox and all the titles that they own, and it's already been announced that they will be making another Fantastic Four film. I think that it's going to come out in 2022 or 2023. There's not a whole lot of details on it. It's rumored that John Krasinski is interested in being in the film, and Emily Blunt. Marvel have done pretty well with a number of series. Like, I don't think anybody expected Guardians of the Galaxy to be as good as it was, so if they can get that sort of level on it, fantastic. The interesting thing about the rumoured one is on IMDb there's 2 writers listed. One of the writers is listed as Michael McCullough. According to IMDb, he is known for such great films as Baby Mama and Undercover Brother. There's a second writer listed as Sean McGoey. Apologies if I say his name wrong. His listed credits list being a witness camera operator on Fant-4-Stic and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. His writing credits are very limited and he's listed as Fantastic Four, so I'm not sure if that one is a credible credit. The writing team doesn't fill you with enthusiasm if they are the 2 writers for this film. So that's another superhero movie on our list for the worst movie ever. But guys, let me know in the comments below what you think. Fantastic Four, can they redeem it? And is Fant-4-Stic the worst movie ever? Thanks for clicking on the video today, guys. If you could, please hit that like button so that I know that you're watching. If you have any recommendations for the worst movie ever, let me know below and I'll feature one on the show at some point and give you a shout out for letting me know that the movie is terrible. For some reason, I love torturing myself by watching terrible, terrible movies.